Well, our theme today is outdoors, and I want to talk a little bit about insects. Are there any entomologists here today? Okay, good.
So we can all go check afterwards to see if your facts are correct.
That's right. I am web dependent today, and I have some things that I want to say about insects and what we can learn about them. There's that great line. I'm glad someone chose that hymn because a lot of our hymns have to do with nature. If you take a look at it, this is my Father's world. He shines in all that's fair. In the rustling grass I hear him pass. He speaks to me everywhere. Now there's a lot of times that things might go over our head, but the important thing is that we pay attention to what's under our feet and right under our nose, because those are the places that we learn some of the best lessons. So today I want to emphasize two things. Just to look and to be aware, and the second is to realize how interconnected everything is. Think about the interdependence of all people and all the things of this earth, and we can think about that in terms of an ecosystem. I'll throw some things out and you guys can kind of guess at these things. There's for every 1 pound of humans on this earth, how many pounds of insects do you think there are? 1 pound for a human. How many pounds of insects?
Trillion.
300. 300 pounds of insects, and just by sheer weight, there are 300 times more insects on this planet than there are humans. Recent study by the University of Pennsylvania, they studied acres, and how many insects do you think they estimate is on 1 acre of ground? 120 million. Isn't that something? 120 million. The statistics, several studies. I mean, if you spend any time in a tent camping, you'll believe that statistic. There are literally millions of insects per human being. And 80% of all the creatures on this earth have 6 legs. Think about that statistic. It's something. We live on a planet of insects, not a planet of humans, if you think about it. The ecosystem presents certain dilemmas, and we all know about the problems that we've had with bees in recent years. And in 1 year, 39% of the bee population died. And does anyone know how much that accounts for fruits and vegetables? What percentage? 33% of our fruits and vegetables were endangered because of something that was happening to our bees. And fortunately, there are enough people that raise bees that they can replace most of those that are lost, but it's still an ongoing problem. Plants are pollinated by insects. Insects control other pests. Insects are also best for dung removal. Okay, think about the cycles that we go through in terms of nature. If we didn't have bugs, we'd have a problem with dung removal. And they're also food for animals. So I want you to think about your 5 senses now for a minute. Think about your sight. How many of you saw bugs or insects when you came here today? You just saw one? Does anybody see one right now? Is there anyone who can point one out right now? John's swatting at something. Bob's standing by the trash can. Bob, are there any insects over there? It's not hard to find insects. That's the point of that. Yeah, think about all the times you see insects. Okay, now here's the other sense that we have is taste. How many of you have ever eaten an insect? Has anyone ever eaten an insect? Now I'm gonna limit it a little bit. Intentionally eaten an insect. We all have unintentionally eaten insects, whether we want to admit it or not. And does anybody want to say what kind of insect they ate and why? You ate grasshoppers? And was it good? Wasn't bad? Okay.
Mixed with eggs, so you didn't.
Mixed up an egg.
It's much
Delicate
better.
dish of some
Probably
kind.
much better.
Where was that? Was that an ethnic thing? In Mexico.
Baskets.
Yeah. Southern Mexico.
part of Oaxaca.
Oaxaca. Yeah, Oaxaca, that's way down there. Okay. All right. So who else intentionally ate an insect? You know? Ants.
Chocolate covered.
Girl Scout camp.
Girl Scout camp. Okay. Girl Scout camp ate ants.
I don't know.
Did the counselor know about that? Yeah.
I looked at it now, maybe they were just trying to see how gullible and dumb we were. And I
Well,
passed the flag color.
Yeah.
Because I ate them.
And they were good.
No, I mean, they're so little you couldn't, you know. We didn't eat big ants, we ate little ants.
And who else said that they ate insects? Anybody else have an insect eating story?
What? It was just at college, I think it was one of those, someone brought them in and he was brave enough to chocolate covered ants.
Chocolate covered ants.
Yeah, they didn't tell me I was an ant.
No, I guess it's chocolate, you know.
During your experimental days in college, you ate chocolate covered ants. Yeah, okay. Chocolate covered ants, okay? Anybody else? It's possible, and really, most of the world eats insects, except for Western society. So, you know, like you say, and there are a lot of people that advocate that we ought to eat more insects because there are so many of them, and with world hunger such as it is, that it makes sense to do that. What about the other senses? What about hearing? Listen right now.
Cricket.
You hear that?
Yeah.
Crickets out in the, I'm assuming out in the brush out there. What other unusual sounds have you heard from insects? Anything that sticks out in your memory? Cicadas, yeah. Tree frogs, yeah.
Locust.
Locust, yeah. I saw a locust the other day. Is this a locust season or something?
Yeah.
I saw one, yeah. Yeah. How about touch? Have you ever been startled by an insect? Couldn't get one off your back or something? Anyone ever?
Bees.
Mosquitoes? We're part of the mosquito ecosystem, no doubt. They like us.
Bees like us.
Fire ants? You ever been bitten by an ant? That happened.
Bees like us.
What about smell? You ever smell an insect? Some of the beetles smell. Yeah, they have stink bugs. Those things that smell. Think about how often you see or you sense a bug, and you know where it came from. We all know all the sayings about that, right? Getting the bugs out, bug out. There's a bug in it. Sleep tight and don't. It's a part of our life, you know, that this is kind of worked in. And, you know, the thing that I hope that this helps us to see is that each of us in our own life, we have spiritual gifts, and we interact with all sorts of people, and we contribute to their lives. And it's kind of like an ecosystem. And we all have our purpose, and we all have our thing, and our reason for being. And all of that is necessary, and if one part of that is missing, we're losing out on something. And I just wanted to talk about a couple of situations to give you an example about that. In Borneo a few years ago, the World Health Organization was concerned about malaria. So what do you think they did? They sprayed to kill the mosquitoes. And when they did that, they also realized that their houses were falling apart because there was an ecosystem. And what happened was they sprayed to kill the mosquitoes, and then there were a lot of caterpillars because the caterpillars were ate by wasps, and the spray also killed the wasps. And then they found out that this whole ecosystem was also messed up because the bugs that were poisoned by the insecticide were eaten by lizards, who were eaten by cats, who used to eat rats, and another plague began in Borneo because there were rats and caterpillars overrunning the place. And so what do you think the World Health Organization did? They parachuted cats back into Borneo to kill the rats, to do away with the things that are destroying. So it's an example of how we have really delicate ecosystems, and we all depend on one another. We can think about the fires that actually open up pine cones and creates more pine. I was reading a story about the Chicago water system. Did you hear that? That it tastes like zebra mussels now. Did you see that article in the paper? Yeah. Lake Erie, think about all the zebra mussels. Anybody that's a fisherman, you drop a hook down, you pull it up, and sometimes you have a little cluster of zebra mussels on the end of your hook now. And they say that it's flavoring the water in Chicago with zebra mussel smell. So all of these things happened because ships came in and brought them in their bilge water, and they just dumped it in the lake. So we all, in one way or another, are connected, and we all have an ecosystem. So I want you to think about not real high things, not things that are going over your head, but I want you to think about how we're all connected, especially by the small things. By the small things that sometimes go beyond our notice, but when we begin to think about it, we can see those things, and we can notice those things, like sound, like taste, like the way bugs influence our life. It's the same thing with our gifts and our relationships with one another. The relationships between nations. We're all connected, we're all interconnected, and they might seem like small things, but they're huge things. So don't miss the small things, because those really are the big things. Amen.